Hey everybody! Okay, I am Marisa Leiner, founder and CEO of Parent-Led Academy, and we're all about equipping parents to become the best parent that you desire to be for your child. But more importantly, we're going to get you through this homeschooling crisis during COVID. So we're kind of calling it crisis homeschooling. So anyway, but I have a special guest today. I'm really scared. We haven't rehearsed at all.
It'll be fine.
Be nice.
Don't worry.
I'm kidding. No, seriously, we have not rehearsed. We've just prayed, and so and that's all you need is just good, solid prayer. Okay, so introduce yourself, Lindsay.
I'm Lindsay. I just turned 23, and I go to school at UC Davis for veterinary school. Just started my fourth year last year in school there. So, but I'm home now for COVID and everything. So.
And you would not talk to me before. I mean, it's only because you guys are under our roof, and that you're like, okay, Mom, I guess
It
I'll
happens
talk.
to line up. So.
And for those of you who don't know what UC Davis is, could you tell them?
Oh, it's just University of California in Davis.
Okay,
So.
we have a lot of international viewers, and so that's Northern California, and so we love that that was your dream school.
Yeah, that was my pie in the sky school. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, okay, we're going to back up a little. We'll just let them know that you were homeschooled from kindergarten all the way through high school. Okay, okay, what was that like?
I know it wasn't that bad. I mean, I enjoyed it. I think me and my brother had quite different experiences. So if you ask him, he might tell you a different story. But I think growing up, like homeschooling worked out for me mostly because I was pretty independent from the start, and I kind of um, I like to kind of study the things and really spend time on the things that I knew I wanted to do. And I think the biggest benefit from homeschooling for me was getting to find out what I love and what I want to do as a career, like early on in my life. Actually, I just watched a video yesterday on YouTube about how to figure out what you want to do for a job and love it. And a lot of people are finding this out halfway through their life or maybe in college, and I feel like I discovered that really early on, so that was a big benefit.
And why do you think you were able to really discover what it is that I feel like God really designed you for? I do believe that God has designed all of us with a purpose and a particular and a unique bent, something that we really would love to do, even if we never got paid for it. So I always gave you and Will that question, what would you love to do, even if you never got paid for it? And so you started kind of early at age 9 doing Lindsay's Helping Hand. Remember that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just how I was able to find out exactly what it was that I wanted to do is because there is just so much flexibility in homeschooling. Like, you don't have to spend 1 hour on math, 1 hour in English, 1 hour, if you get all your English work done, then you can go, focus on I'm interested in animals and, read an anatomy book or something. Or I was kind of interested in building my own business, and so just as a kid, I was having pet sitting businesses and stuff like that. So I was able to, during my lunch break, go and check in on the neighbor's dog and pick up the mail. But in the process, I was learning valuable kind of business mentalities. So it just provided a lot of flexibility for me that was able to kind of fuel me in the direction that I wanted to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're going to hear from Will. I don't know when. He's awfully busy, even during COVID. Um, this he has just such an entrepreneurial mindset that it's amazing. Anyway, I we'll talk to him and we'll give him his 30 minutes just because we're going to need that much time with him. But Lindsay, just you knew at a young age that it was animals, but what was it like? What was it that really made you go, okay, I want to be a vet, and when, and just that whole process?
Um, it was multifactorial. I think a big majority of it is knowing um, that although I loved animals, I also wanted to serve people in the process. And I know I didn't want to go into human medicine, but I figured out that I really connect to people through their animals. And I also, in that same process, found out that I really loved medicine, I really loved science. And, I didn't mind a lot of school. I do okay in academics, so that long kind of academic process wasn't a problem for me. So it was multiple things, but definitely why I'm in the profession is because I really want to reach people through their animals and ultimately, care for pets in a way that really increases the human-animal bond between them and their owners. So.
A lot of parents were forced to homeschool, and it was a little different from us in the fact that we decided early on, okay, this is what we're going to do, and so all the stuff that you parents are experiencing now, like the anguish and the oh my gosh, I'm going crazy. Okay, I experienced that when they were young, and then it got easier. But what would you say as far as like, I know it's hard for parents right now, but how would you encourage them, not necessarily to continue homeschooling, because some can't, and won't even touch it, and I get that, but some of the things that parents can be doing with their child, like especially now that they're all under one roof and they have the time.
Um, I would probably say, like, really just get to know your child. Like, it doesn't always have to be school, school, school all the time, and then you guys get upset at each other, and then you wish they were in the other room, or whatever it is. I think, like, when I think about being at school and being in a classroom, like, a teacher has, like, 30 kids, and so they can only give your child so much attention. So when you have this time to be alone with your child, one-on-one, or maybe children, like, I feel like that's really valuable. So asking them questions, getting to know what they're really good at, or maybe what's bothering them, like even diving deep into their emotions, like I just feel like there's a lot of things that you can do with the time that you have with them, the one-on-one time, and really invest into kind of your child.
Invest. I mean, that's a great word. Right now, that's what we're doing, is we're investing in our children. Even if you don't feel like you're investing, even if you're just basically surviving. I think the fact that that we're all together, don't you think that that's sometimes just enough?
Define enough.
Well, um, it forces us to just do something together. And I think society, before the whole COVID, we were just, I kind of picture us all in a hamster wheel, and we're just kind of in that hamster wheel for so long, and we didn't know how to get off because we couldn't, or we thought that we couldn't. And now we're forced to get off the hamster wheel. And I'm just curious, can it be so bad that we've had to force each other to get along?
I mean, it probably depends who you ask, but I don't mind. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, honestly, I think like I kind of wonder if like our world kind of like needed a break because we're always just go go go. Everyone's so like anxiety is just a hot topic and burnout, and so I think there's definitely ways that you could use this time. And when it comes to like just being together as a family, it can be hard. I'm not gonna lie, it can be hard to be in the same household with your family 24/7. But I think there are a lot of good things that come out of it too. Because I mean, when it comes down to it, like your family's like the closest people to you, and they care the most about you, especially when it comes to like parents and children. So, um, I mean, I think it's kind of like this time is like what you make of it.
Yeah. So let's get real with our relationship as mother and daughter. Well, you go tell them. I'm just smiling because I think I know what you're going to say, but it is very special. I mean, it just truly is special. And I feel like because we homeschooled and we were forced to be together, um, this is kind of like the outcome of that, of being together all the time, and that it's not so bad, especially when they grow up to be adults. So tell them what that outcome has turned out to be.
No, I think me we're pretty close. Me and my mom are pretty close. Kind of like probably like borderline scary close. I talk to her a lot about a lot, but it's a good thing. And it's interesting because it wasn't always like that, like at all. Like I remember, I think it was around the years of like 12 to 14 age range for me. We were like butting heads all the time. I was a little rebellious. I had a bad attitude, but um, I think what I'm trying to think of why we became so close afterward. More so when I actually got to college, I feel like. But I think just like my mom instilling like really strong values in me at a young age. Um, it's just it didn't always line up with kind of like the world standards, and so a lot of the times I feel like I haven't met a lot of people with the values that I have, and so I think that's why I'm pretty close with my mom. Is like we just talk about that a lot, and so whenever I have questions or I'm struggling with something, I usually talk to her. Luckily, she listens to me, but obviously, I think homeschooling had a role too. I I mean, like I said, it's all that time you spend together. Like you can choose to invest what you want into your children. So if that's values, if that's discipline, if that's ambition, like you can put a lot into them. So I don't know if that explains
No, absolutely. It's so what you guys are experiencing right now, the crisis and the crisis schooling and pulling your hair out. Um, we experienced that maybe later, or I mean in the beginning, but then it became like we got a groove, we got a rhythm, and everything became even better and better and better, and so it does become better. Um, so I just want you to be encouraged that it will get better. But let's say you decide, okay, I can't wait till they go back to school. Gosh, how would you encourage parents to just stay close? Like parents, I know that parents have to work and they're busy and it's crazy busy and so are the kids. But Lindsay, what would you say? I mean, I feel like I make it very intentional. Um, and I think you see that, and every day. And I was very intentional in how I reacted and how I raised you guys. But I had to learn that too. So
it. So
anyway,
your question is how to keep investing in your children when they go back into school?
yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not a mom, so I don't really know. But I mean, I would just say like if it were me, kind of picturing myself back, sort of when I was younger, but just keeping like asking questions, like how things are going, and like I remember listening very briefly to this one parenting podcast. I don't remember why, or I don't know why I remember this, but when they tell you something that like really surprises you or like disappoints you, like not to overreact. And I think that my mom did that pretty well. Like when I told her something, I was honest with her about something that didn't go that great or I disobeyed or whatever. Like um, there was no like crazy consequence or like a big reaction that came out of her. So I guess it gained my trust to her that I could keep telling her things. So hopefully that's some good advice.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I know I got angry. Oh yeah, I got angry a lot. Did you ever see that? Do you think, I mean, kids see that and sometimes even mimic it, but what about anger issues, especially if parents just can't control themselves? I guess what would you say?
I honestly am not quite sure. I got angry, but it was when the hormones were high. So other than that, I don't know.
I guess I'd like parents to know that um, all our reactions, you guys remember, right? I mean, you remember when we got angry, maybe the worst anger, or you remember that. Like kids just are watching all the time, or they're seeing that. So um, now I feel like God can redeem all that just by a simple prayer, and asking God, oh gosh, I remember doing that, in fact, is just saying, oh Lord, just erase that memory from my child's mind of just how I just blew it, and lost it. Um, so maybe that's what it is. It's just going to God, right? And asking Him to help us through this parenting.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I think my faith has a big uh, part in probably even like I think faith just has a big part in my relationship with my family in general. So um, that might be a factor to consider. But yeah.
Mhm. And that's one of the reasons we decided to homeschool, because we really wanted us to be the main influence. And faith was, yeah, probably definitely number one in that. It's never a guarantee. We knew that just because we were homeschooling and imparting our faith every single day. Um, we didn't know, but we felt pretty good about the influence that we had because we had the time. Um,
Yeah, I will say that even though it was faith, or like what influence you wanted to be was the reason why you guys started homeschooling us. I don't think that like we were ever sheltered from the kind of the outside world. I mean, I think my friends might argue with me, but I mean, I still consider myself to be I still think I was pretty sociable as a kid, and actually a lot of people that I talked to were surprised that I'm homeschooled because I do have, I feel like, moderate socialization skills. Not everyone turns out like that, but with that being said, like, it's not like we didn't have a large friend group when we were being homeschooled or not. I was a part of my local high school sports, and then I had a lot of extracurriculars, like violin, piano, sports, and things like that. So I think there's definitely a stigma associated with homeschoolers and like a stereotype, um, when it comes to like conservative, antisocial type of thing. But I don't think that should be the reason why you don't homeschool. And like I kind of said, it's different for every person. Like I think my brother may have felt like he kind of missed out on the social part, but it really just depends because we also had very different ideas of what academics should look like too. So.
yeah. Let's talk about socialization, because you got that a lot. Um, yeah, when you guys were in college, is wait, you were homeschooled? You don't act like you were homeschooled. And Will got that a lot too. And actually, you guys, I think, felt kind of proud about that. um, but but there is this myth that, oh my gosh, if I homeschool, we're just in the house all day, and they're not going to get the social skills. They're not going to be able to have friends. But that is such a myth. Just dispel that for those who really worry about socialization. 'Cause that was like the last thing that I worried about, really.
Yeah, and I don't know if I could give you like a kind of a key ingredient as to what it is to not be antisocial, but I think just staying like involved. Um, there's a lot of resources out for homeschooling. There's like co-ops. I mean, we went to like a once a week school for how many years, and so I got made a lot of friends through there. Um, and extracurriculars like chess club. I sound super nerdy right now, but like chess club, I had a lot of friends, even just neighbors down the street. So like, um, it's it's what you put into it and what you get out. If you want to have a lot, have an effort into socializing with other people, and there's ways to do that. So
Yeah, and I think, it really depends on the parents. Like
yeah,
Bill and I, my husband, we're pretty sociable people. We like to be around people. So, there's that proverb, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So, I mean, it really, when I see the maybe unsocialized homeschoolers, all I do, the kids, I just look at their parents, really. I mean, so, but you can't assume that all of us are going to have that problem because, again, socialization, oh yeah, there was too much of it. The beauty of that, the social, is that we get to choose who they get to be social with. So in a sense, we weren't protecting them, but we got to choose because we get to. You know, when you homeschool, you have so much flexibility. So when I knew, okay, yeah, these guys, my kids should not be around these kids, um, I got to have an influence in that. And I didn't tell them, no, you can't, and tell them why. I never did that. But I would just steer them the other way and say, well, what about if we meet with so and so, or we had play dates with those friends that we did want to be with. So a lot of wow, a lot of control that the parents can have, but in a good way.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a pro for when you are homeschoolers, that you do have a lot more control about what your environment looks like. I have seen, like, the extreme opposite ends where um, maybe parents have too much control on their child as well, and so um, I don't know. It you just have to be careful about how you balance it. I think, um, yeah, just in a nutshell.
Mhm.
So.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, Lindsay, because yeah, they're definitely parents who love the control, and that's why they homeschool. So um, it's just like anything, you know. There's a whole gamut of types of homeschooling and what we do, and the parents, and our philosophies, and our theology. I mean, it runs the whole gamut. So what I'm saying is, check out that gamut. Check out the variety. That there is variety. It's not. Don't stick us in a hole and say, okay, these are all the homeschoolers. They're like this, or their kids are like this, because it's so not the case. So I feel like your dad and I were pretty flexible, but firm, but flexible, and hopefully fun.
Yeah, very fun. I think, like, one thing to keep in mind too is, like, especially in high school, I was doing a lot of community college classes during those high school years. So sometimes I didn't really even feel like I was homeschooled because I was actually going somewhere. I was going to a school. It was just a community college. So, um, like, kind of what my mom was saying is, like, there's a variety of different ways to homeschool, even when it comes to, like, going to community college classes when you're really young. And it's not impossible at all. Actually, I thought it was really helpful. So, um, just kind of keeping the options open when you think of homeschooling.
Okay, and I'll be honest with you, I found that program where a charter school, and I want to give them a shout out, Sequoia Choice Arizona Distance Learning. That's where you and Will participated. They paid for all our community college classes. You started in 8th grade. I know we were a little nervous, but I would drop you off and I would pick you up right after class. You took like an English 101 class, so it counted for um, college credit as well as high school credit, and then a charter school paid for it. How awesome is that? And I'll tell you about that more if you're interested. Just reach out. But so you started out with one class, 8th grade, and you actually liked it. I remember that.
Yeah, no, I think I enjoyed kind of my whole community college experience, and I think a lot of it had to do with knowing exactly what I wanted to do, um, and having that kind of plan in my head. I also just kind of liked the challenge. I liked being in a room full of people who are older than me, and also having the resources of, like, professors, college professors, and it was a really good experience for me. Obviously, like, I was the youngest one in my class 99% of the time, and so, like, age was often like an obstacle, um, even kind of just throughout my entire life, because I've always been on the very young end. Pretty sure I'm the youngest in my vet school class, um, uh, but I mean, there's, like, it just, even though I was young, I was still very driven, and I still had, like, the capacity to be around college students. So it just depends on, you know the child, and what they kind of thrive in. It was interesting because I was talking to a classmate, and he actually, before going to vet school, he got a bachelor's and then a master's in business, and he got those 2 degrees knowing that he was going to go into vet school. And so he's like, we have a big gap between our ages. But it was just such a different, perspective to think about. But I don't think either one of us are at a disadvantage. So really just to say that age doesn't always matter if you decide you want to go that route with community college.
And I know probably some of you are thinking, 8th grade, oh my gosh, but my child would never have made it through community college and gone into a classroom in 8th grade. But keep in mind, so all those years prior to 8th grade, we were homeschooling, and again, the interaction that you had was with adults, so I guess your maturity level was higher maybe than average 8th grader, and that's why everything just kind of fell in place. So that's why I think the maturity level of your child is a huge factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so our son, who is not into academics, but his maturity was high as well, and so he didn't do as well in terms of academically in the grades, but he did fine as far as going because, again, the maturity level. And gosh, I can't encourage you enough. That's what you guys need to be working on during this time, is just their character and training that character and responsibility, life skills. That's what you should be doing. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah. No, I think it's, yeah. Good.
Yeah. I had you guys doing a lot at a young age.
Yeah.
Um,
You want to talk about that part?
okay. We have 3 minutes.
I'll keep it short. Although I could probably go on for a while. No, yeah. I mean, there's some downsides of homeschooling too. I think just for me, there sometimes was a little bit of a lack of structure, and I'm a pretty organized person, so I sometimes would have appreciated kind of the structure of a classroom or like a school day. But like I said, there's also pros that come with flexibility. So another thing I think is as a homeschooler, we're so used to just achieve, like success. We kind of get everything that we want in terms of, I don't know if it's just in school, but just kind of succeeding. Because we're the only ones at home, so we don't really have anyone else to compare to. So I think for me, this instilled a very sort of achiever mentality, and sometimes I have kind of perfectionistic traits, and so when I don't perform up to the level that I wanted to, it can sometimes break me down. And so that's something that I've had to learn to do or kind of cope with, especially now that I'm at Davis, where all the 140 people in my class are straight A, type A people. I'm just in a room of geniuses, and so definitely that was kind of a wake up moment. But I mean, some people wouldn't think that's a bad thing to have really high standards for yourself all the time. And like I said, if you talk to my brother, we're completely opposites. So he'll tell you something different. But I think when it comes to homeschooling, and the biggest downside for me was just having that kind of perfectionistic mentality.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of that had to do with you being the oldest, so there's that firstborn trait of perfectionism. But then I think I was a little harder.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom also has a pretty competitive spirit, so I think that kind of got translated down to me. So I won't take all the blame, I guess.
Oh yeah. I take the blame. Well,
no, I think it's an interesting thing to think about, though. Whatever the parent is, that's going to be translated into your child, whether you like it or not. So.
So true. And so, because I definitely had that. I was an overachiever when I was young, and I got that because I had foreign immigrant parents who instilled in me that I had to be on top. I had to do really well because I was the minority, and I had to work 10 times harder. So guess what? Yeah, that was just instilled in me, and that's why I got into a profession. I was in broadcast news, one of the most competitive industries that a woman could be involved in, and just I dealt with that issue and brought it into homeschooling because it's the human sinful condition, but and now we're praying about it, like trying to get you balanced and knowing that it's okay, right? But that's what you tell yourself after you get down on yourself. What do you say?
I just say, and that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And God has this, right? And so, and again, not a bad trait to have, but you just want to always live this balanced life. Gosh, we covered a lot. Just tell us or share with us, Lindsay, um, where you're at. Um, where you're at. Like, okay, so you're 23 years old, and what God has shown you, how your faith does play a big role in everything you do, and yeah, your future goals and all that good stuff, and really what you're learning through COVID. Maybe you could end it with that.
So this next upcoming year is my last year in school. It's also our clinical year where we kind of play doctor in our teaching hospital. So that'll be a new experience, I think, because the first 3 years were just like lecture-based kind of learning style. But I'm really excited for that because I think I lost a lot of the sort of why behind why I wanted to go into vet med when I'm just in a classroom all day. Because I just love to, be in the exam room with the owners, with the pets, and so I'm really excited for this year. After I graduate, I'm hoping to go into small animal private practice or corporate practice, but mostly cats and dogs, for those of you who don't know what small animal means. But yeah, and then I also, that's mostly like your routine vet visits, but I also am hoping to get some experience in emergency medicine and critical care as well. I don't plan to specialize at all, but hoping to do that in California. We'll see. But in the long, long future, long-term goals, I guess, I'm really interested in leadership, and I also have a strong interest in business. So, I'm dabbling in the idea of owning a practice or, just kind of like maybe even like making a program where veterinary professionals of any sort can come and develop. It's really in the air right now. I just know what I am passionate about right now, and I don't really know where it's going to take me, but I think it's going to be something more than just general practice in vet medicine. So I'm excited in that sense, but yeah.
That's very cool. And then just your faith and all that.
Yeah. No, that plays a pretty big part, so probably should leave that out. But I would say like my faith has grown exponentially, particularly in these past like 3 years or so. But it's always had like a really big part in just my lifestyle. Even when I'm in vet school, we study all day long. We study every single day, like for hours on end usually. But towards the end, I actually was spending a lot of time just volunteering at my church, serving there, learning so much from the leadership team at my church, E2 Church in Sacramento, by the way. Put that in. But I actually was spending like a good amount of hours out in Sacramento. I would say at least 7 hours a week, maybe like 10 or 12. Just traveling back and forth there, but I did it because I loved it, and I honestly felt like doing that sort of work and investing in my spiritual aspect of myself was one of the best investments I could make. And a lot of people thought I was crazy or like, I didn't, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't study like all the time. I'm a little bit more on the lower on the end for that. But like I said, I think really investing my faith, even if it's being at church, being around a community that with people of the same values and people I really look up to, or if it's, simply going to the gym because I just need to contribute to my physical well-being. I was able to find a really good balance, I think, in vet school for me personally, and yeah.
And how would you encourage parents to really teach faith during this time, COVID time, to their kids? And should they be teaching their faith?
I think it's hard because I don't want to say that like you should be like jamming it down their throats or anything, but I think for me like actions speak louder than words. So if anything, like just being that example of what Christ looks like in your home and when it comes to serving other people, I think can say really big things about how your kids look up to you and how they view, honestly, like God and just kind of that aspect of things. And so, yeah, just being a Christ-like example, I think, would be good.
It's beautiful, and I think that's a beautiful way to end. Is there anything else you want to say, parents?
I don't think so. Good luck homeschooling COVID.
Can I get a hug? Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed this. And we just wanted to get real with you, and none of this was rehearsed at all, which was scary. But thank you guys. Love you guys. And if you need us to help you with homeschooling during this crisis, don't be afraid to reach out. Bye-bye.